I want you to just take a second and imagine standing right in the middle of London.
Oh, yeah, or really any massive, booming global city.
Right, exactly. You are standing there on the sidewalk, you look around, the wealth is just completely undeniable.
It is literally built into the architecture around you.
You see these huge glass skyscrapers reflecting the sun. You see cranes everywhere building the next massive financial headquarters.
The restaurants are completely packed. The streets are busy.
Yeah, you can physically feel the sheer economic power of the place. It vibrates right through the pavement.
By every conventional metric, it looks like a city that is absolutely winning the global game.
But you look a little closer, you look at the actual people on the ground.
The local workers.
Exactly, the locals. The people driving the buses, the folks staffing the mid-level offices, running the corner shops.
And beneath all that shiny, obvious prosperity, there is this simmering anxiety.
It's very real. It's this deep feeling of just trying to survive.
Like you are being slowly pushed out of your own neighborhood.
Right. Like you are running on a treadmill and someone keeps cranking up the speed, but your paycheck barely moves an inch.
So today we're going completely into the center of that anxiety.
We are doing a deep dive into a single, just monumental source.
It is a landmark study published in 2005 in the Economic Journal.
Authored by 3 world-class economists, Christian Dustmann, Francesca Fabbri, and Ian Preston.
From University College London and the University of Munich.
And their mission. It was basically to completely dismantle everything we think we know about how immigration affects local jobs.
They used nearly 2 decades of British labor force survey data from 1983 all the way to the year 2000.
Which is just a staggering amount of information. But hey, before we take a single step forward, we need to drop a massive disclaimer for you.
Oh, absolutely. This is crucial.
We all know immigration is an incredibly charged political topic. The headlines are always screaming about it.
Politicians on the left and the right are constantly fighting over it.
And we are taking absolutely zero sides today. None at all.
We are completely neutral here.
Our only goal for this deep dive is to unpack the fascinating, impartial economic mechanics hidden inside this historical data.
We are not talking about border policy. We are not endorsing any political viewpoint.
Because, the math doesn't care about politics.
The data has zero agenda.
Our job is just to show you how the engine actually works under the hood. So buckle up.
It is going to be a wild ride.
We are going to flip your worldview completely upside down today.
Let's start with a really strong paradox. Why do these massive cities grow infinitely richer from immigration while the local working class feels like they're drowning?
It is the ultimate question. And to answer it, we have to look at the raw data on where people actually go.
Right, the geographic concentration. Look at the UK during this period.
60%. 60% of all working-age immigrants were clustered in just Greater London and the Southeast.
Which is a tiny chunk of the country.
Exactly. Now compare that to the native-born workers.
Only 29% of the native workforce lived in those exact same areas.
So the physical overlap is just wildly lopsided.
It is completely unbalanced.
And this right here is where that local anxiety comes from. The intuition is loud and clear.
If you live in London, you look around, and the narrative feels obvious.
You see the influx. You feel the squeeze on housing. You feel it in job interviews.
And your brain jumps to the most logical conclusion: they are taking the jobs.
But the historical data is about to deliver a brutal, completely opposite answer.
Because your common sense is actually lying to you.
Okay, wait. Let's unpack this. Because the anxiety of that local worker isn't fake.
No, the pain is very real. They definitely feel the pressure.
So how is their common sense lying? The public debate relies on this really simple scale, right?
More labor supply equals more competition.
Which must mean lower wages and fewer jobs for the locals. It sounds like basic economics.
It sounds true, but in a living, breathing economy, that simplistic conclusion is full of fatal holes.
But I mean, if 10 people apply for one job instead of 5, how does the local guy not lose?
Because a real economy isn't a fixed zero-sum game. You are thinking about it like a game of musical chairs.
Where the number of chairs never changes.
Exactly. But immigrants aren't just workers, they are consumers.
Oh, right. They have to buy things.
They rent apartments, they buy groceries, they get haircuts. They literally create new jobs just by existing in the city.
So the number of chairs actually grows.
Yes. But even professional economists used to get this wrong. We have been completely blinded by a statistical illusion.
The spatial causality trap.
It is the biggest trap in data analysis. Let's talk about selective settlement.
Right, because immigrants aren't just dropped out of airplanes at random.
They don't throw a dart at a map. They are highly rational.
They actively move to prosperous areas, places with booming job markets and high wages.
So if you just look at a map, it looks like immigrants actually cause high wages.
It's a massive false positive. It's confusing the magnet with the metal.
The booming town is the magnet. The immigrant is the metal.
The town was already booming. The high wages pulled them in.
Right. Traditional estimates were blindly optimistic because they got the cause and effect totally backwards.
So how do you separate the reality from that illusion?
You basically need a time machine.
And this is where Dustmann and his team did something brilliant. To figure out the 1990s, they used ghosts from the past.
They had to filter out that booming town illusion. So they looked at historical settlement networks.
Meaning, they looked at where immigrants went decades ago.
Yes, because new immigrants almost always go where their compatriots settled years before.
Because of the social network, the grocery stores, the community, the language.
They go there completely ignoring current economic shocks. They don't care if a town is booming right now. They go to where their uncle lives.
So by using those old networks, the researchers stripped away the noise of the current economic booms.
It isolates the pure, naked impact of the human influx.
The true cause and effect finally emerges.
And when it did, it revealed a highly un-American reality.
This blew my mind. We have to completely forget the stereotype of cheap, unskilled labor.
Because in the UK, the truth is exactly the opposite.
In the U.S., historically, immigration skewed heavily toward low-skill labor. Agriculture, basic construction.
But the UK skill distribution for immigrants is shockingly identical to the native population.
It is perfectly balanced.
The people arriving are competing at the exact same level as the people already there.
Here is where it gets really interesting, because this high-quality influx is hunting for space.
Someone is going to get squeezed out.
So let's look at the education data for the year 2000.
The clash here is unbelievable. Look at the locals.
Only 31.8% of locals had intermediate education.
What the British call O-levels, the solid middle class.
But among recent immigrants arriving in the 90s,
A massive 55.1% held intermediate degrees.
over half. They aren't cheap labor at all.
They are an army of highly capable mid-level professionals.
Flooding the exact center of the market.
Now, if their education is that good, what about the actual jobs they do?
The occupational overlap is astonishing.
The breakdown in the year 2000 is basically a mirror image.
High-skill jobs. Natives held 24.6%.
While immigrants held 31.3%.
The immigrants actually have a higher proportion of elite skills than the locals.
The battle lines are drawn exactly on top of each other.
Low-skill jobs were 35.6% for natives.
And 32.6% for immigrants.
So fewer immigrants in the low-skill bracket. This is crazy.
But here is the paradox. If the new arrivals look exactly like the locals on paper, the economy shouldn't even blink.
Right. It's a proportional match.
Yet the anxiety on the streets is very real. Why is the bottom of the labor market screaming in pain?
To understand that, we have to talk about the brutal black box.
The single product model.
If a country only makes one thing, life is a cruel, zero-sum bloodbath.
Imagine a closed economy. Infinite capital meets rigid local labor.
Let's say it's an island that only farms potatoes. That's all they do.
Perfect. If low-skill immigrants pour in, the value of low-skill local labor mathematically must drop.
Because you suddenly have way more people willing to dig potatoes. The price of digging craters.
This is the nightmare scenario. It is the black box where locals truly get crushed.
But immigration doesn't shrink the cake. It silently changes who gets to hold the knife.
It is a massive wealth redistribution heist.
In that potato island, the low-skill locals bleed wages. But where does the money go?
It flows upward. High-skill locals get a wage bump.
Through complementary efficiency.
Right, because cheaper labor means the farm can expand. The manager suddenly becomes way more valuable.
And the capitalists pocket a massive surplus.
It is an invisible heist. Total wealth goes up, but the bottom subsidizes the top.
Wait, the UK doesn't just farm potatoes.
Exactly, it's connected to the whole world.
Open the borders to trade, and a macroeconomic miracle occurs. The shock simply vanishes.
When an economy makes multiple goods and trades globally, it doesn't punish workers by dropping wages.
It adapts.
It expands the specific industries that need the new labor.
It's a magic trick of self-adjustment. The economy just stretches and morphs.
It changes its industrial DNA. It swallows the labor shock whole.
Which brings us to the global price anchor.
A flawless macro theory that says your wages are fundamentally immune.
Because in the long run, if a country trades enough, local wages are anchored entirely by global commodity prices.
Not by how many immigrants arrive on your shores.
It sounds perfect on paper. The math says the local worker is totally safe.
But does reality actually agree?
Right, I want to see the receipts. Did this hold up on the streets of London?
Well, let's look at the empirical endgame. The most rigorous data filtering reveals a stunning number.
A 1% increase in immigrants dropped local employment by a microscopic negative 0.07%.
Statistically, that is a flat zero.
The data says the locals are totally fine. The job market didn't even flinch.
But the outrage tells a different story, so who is lying?
The lake is perfectly calm on the surface, but underneath, people are drowning.
If you look at overall unemployment and labor participation rates, the impact is non-existent.
The macroeconomy is healthy. Politicians can point to these numbers and declare victory.
But averages are uniquely designed to hide the truth.
The average wage is the biggest lie in economics.
The data proves immigrants do not drag down the overall average wage.
Everything looks great from a skyscraper.
But if you walk down to street level and slice the data open, the horror show begins.
Who's secretly paying the price for this prosperity? We finally found them.
The hidden victims. The middle class.
When the researchers isolated the intermediate education group, the O levels, the numbers plummeted.
Their employment coefficient was a highly significant negative 0.179.
Their unemployment spiked. This is the smoking gun.
The middle-tier workers were entirely crushed by the highly educated immigrants arriving in the 90s.
They were steamrolled by direct, fierce competition.
It wasn't the poorest who suffered.
It was the completely average, middle-of-the-road worker who got entirely displaced.
Immigration didn't flatten society. It violently tore it into two extremes.
The birth of polarization. Elite dividends versus mediocre dead ends.
The highly educated native elite saw an employment boost, plus 0.111.
They rode the wave of efficiency.
The unqualified at the bottom scraped by.
But the middle-class worker, pushed against a wall with nowhere to go.
The winners took all.
But why didn't they just pack up and leave, run away from the immigrant hubs?
Because they were trapped in a cage of their own making.
People theorized about native flight, but UK data shows the middle-tier workers have incredibly low spatial mobility.
They are physically chained down by the housing market.
They couldn't run. They couldn't escape the competition.
They just had to sit in their hometowns and absorb the brutal pain of population replacement.
And industrial upgrades, which shows you the ultimate logic of the world.
The world does not care about your paycheck. It only cares about efficiency.
The macroeconomy survived the wave by completely altering what it produces.
Relying on structural adjustment instead of wage cuts.
It is a terrifying, beautiful mechanism. The nation survives and thrives.
But the middle class is offered up as a silent sacrifice to the gods of globalization.
It's crazy. Immigration is a net positive for the country, but a hyper-localized catastrophe for the direct competitor.
And the ghosts of 2005 are ringing the warning bell for you today.
History's loop. This study proved that labor market polarization isn't a modern political failure.
It is the unavoidable structural cost of an economy upgrading itself.
Look at the data. The middle class getting gutted while the elites get richer. Does that sound familiar?
The exact same mechanics that displaced the British middle manager are at play right now.
Which brings us to a really unsettling thought to leave you with.
Think about it. If an influx of highly educated humans in the 90s caused this much silent devastation to the middle class,
While making the overall economy boom.
what do you think the current explosion of artificial intelligence is going to do?
AI is the ultimate high-skilled immigrant.
It drops right into the center of the labor market. It won't shrink the economic cake.
But it is about to violently change who gets to hold the knife.
The overall economy will adapt and thrive.
But the direct competitor is going to feel the pain. Stay intensely curious, everyone.